Welcome, 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 Nerd Nation, to Hump Day and to another episode of the After Effect podcast show on the couch with SJ and Yaz. I am your girl, SJ. Yaz is over in the studio, and this is the only podcast that helps you master the art of acknowledgement, forgiveness, trust, and acceptance so that you can be the beholder of your own beauty. In a few minutes, we're going to go over there in the studio. But in the meantime and in between time, I want you to get whatever makes you feel good in your cup. Get your paper, get your pencil, and let's prepare to start with self-love. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different because we had some technical difficulties. So there's going to be some footage that's going to be added in from the conversation about our topic today that Yaz and I had. But because of the technical difficulties that we had to go in another direction with the episode. So you're just going to see me mostly. But again, there will be feedback from Yaz because we did absolutely have this conversation for the podcast. So that's our disclaimer. But I want you to stay tuned. Well, hey, hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of the After Effect podcast show on the couch with SJ and Yaz. I'm your girl, SJ, your beautiful guide on this self-love journey. And as always, I am joined by my darling co-host, Miss Yazzie Covington. Yaz, how are you doing today, ma'am?
I'm doing good today. I'm doing good today.
Well, how you feeling about this topic we got going on today is trust, honey.
Yeah, let's get into it, guys. That's the best way. Let's get into it because I don't trust me.
Yes. So here's the thing, Nerd Nation. If you have been following along, and I'm just going to assume that you have been, okay, you know that I'm the creator of the After Effect. That is the art of acknowledgement, forgiveness, trust, and acceptance, all on your journey of self-love to becoming the beholder of your own beauty. And this week, we're talking about trust. The last 2 weeks, we delved into acknowledgement and forgiveness, and whew, last week was a doozy. Forgiveness was a doozy. How you feeling after that, Yaz?
Traumatized. Now, last week, again, like I say, for me, I'm here helping everybody else, and at the same time, more so helping myself. So last week, learning more about forgiveness definitely opened doors and windows, and some of everything for me. So
and I think one of the things that we got the most response to was when we talked about, that stepping on the neck of others, and the fact that, until you were able to forgive yourself, it's going to be really hard to forgive other people. And the fact that we've been mistaking forgiving people for just trying to be okay with compromising our boundaries. So that was a big thing for me. That was something for me.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm going to tell you about this week about trusting yourself. If you haven't gone through the steps of acknowledging, taking the emotions out and just acknowledging what is, and then going on and forgiving any limiting beliefs, because we are talking about self-love. So all the principles we're talking about right now, we're not talking about somebody else. We're talking about you trusting yourself. If you haven't been through acknowledgement and forgiveness, trust is going to be impossible, which the easiest one to me is going to be the most impossible thing to do if you don't follow the steps right along. Okay. And with that, I'm going to let you know that trust is one of those things that we all struggle with at some point in our lives, whether it's trusting ourselves, trusting the universe, trusting each other, and so that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about it today. What is self-trust? Self-trust is learning how to believe in yourself and your abilities to make decisions, to take actions, and to follow through on your goals. And I think that we hit on it briefly in another conversation that we had, when I asked the question, if you'd ever spent any time being the type of person that didn't trust anybody, or if you knew anybody that just didn't trust anybody. I know that I've gone through that where,
Yeah.
in the last episode, we talked about the fact that your boundaries are the strictest when you fresh out of some BS. So that's about the point where when we fresh out of it, we don't trust nobody. We don't want to trust nobody. I don't care what you say. I gave it my all. I gave it everything I had, and the shit still hit the fan. So you know what? I don't nobody. And what I propose to that is that if you're walking around here saying that you don't trust anybody, you're really the person that's untrustworthy. Now, some people will agree with that and some people won't agree with that. And that's okay because, sweetie, I want you all to do whatever it is that's been working for you. I'm just here to offer an alternative to the way that you may have been thinking about things up until this point. So, Yaz, where are you at with that? When I say, if you're walking around here not trusting anybody, that you're really the person that is untrustworthy. You really don't trust you.
I can excuse me, I can see that because again, I trust me enough to know what I'm gonna do, but not necessarily saying what I'm doing is the right thing for me to be doing. If that makes sense. Um and talking of my role of what I ain't gonna say what I caused or but I can say what I allowed, is that not trusting me to make good decisions. I didn't trust others either. So it's like I set myself up to lose point blank, period.
And this is where those technical difficulties came in that I told you about at the beginning of the episode. Unfortunately, we were unable to continue recording our discussion due to those technical issues that we had. And I know, I miss Yaz too. I miss her insights, but not to worry. I'm going to guide us through the rest of this episode solo, and we're going to pick up the conversation with Yaz in our next episode. Okay. Thank you so much for understanding and for sticking with us through this. So for now, let's dive back in. Now, for those of you who don't know, trust is the third principle in the after effect, only achievable once you have mastered acknowledgement and forgiveness. And let me tell you, trust is a game changer. If you've ever struggled with doubting yourself, second guessing your decisions, or worrying about what other people think, this is the episode for you. Now, when we talk about trust, we're not just talking about trusting others. We're talking about believing in yourself, trusting your own instincts, and knowing that you have everything within you to handle whatever life throws your way. Today, we're going to cover 3 areas. Number 1 is building self-trust and confidence. Number 2 is overcoming self-doubt and the fear of judgment. And number 3 is setting personal goals with assurance. I'm also going to give you some actionable steps to help you build that trust muscle and start believing in your own journey. Get comfy, get your pen, get your paper, and let's go ahead and dive in. So, we got to start off with self-trust. What does it really mean to trust yourself? Self-trust is that inner knowing, that feeling of certainty that tells you, hey, I've got this. It's the belief that no matter what happens, you have the skills, the resilience, and the wisdom to navigate life's challenges. Now, I know that building trust isn't always easy. If you spent years doubting yourself or looking to others for approval, it can feel a little foreign to rely on your own instincts. Remember back in episode 3, I told you that your boundaries tend to be strictest when you're fresh out of some BS. Okay, so if you stay in that place for too long, you could develop the belief that you can't trust anybody. And I'm going to introduce to you the concept that if you are walking around life not trusting anybody else and deciding right off the bat that everybody else on the earth is untrustworthy, it's really you that's not the trustworthy person. Now, I know some of y'all want to tussle about it, and that's okay. Here's the truth. Here's the truth. You're born with everything that you need to navigate in this life. You just have to reconnect with that inner voice, the one that knows what's right for you. Remember when I said that if you're walking around here not trusting other people, that it's really you that's untrustworthy? So let's unpack that. Okay. Somebody said something to you once or twice or three times. You believed them, but it wasn't true. So now you don't trust what you see in others. Someone said something to you once or twice or three times. It was great. You believed it, but it turned out not to be true. And so now you don't trust what you hear from anyone else. Someone made you feel something that was wonderful, but it turned out not to be true. It was fleeting. And now you don't trust what you feel for anyone else. Do you see where I'm going with that? You don't trust what you see. You don't trust what you hear. You don't trust what you feel. That's an issue of self-trust. You do not trust your discernment. You do not trust your ability to be able to say, I got this. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Think about it like this. Trust is a relationship. Just like any other relationship, it takes time to build. You don't just trust a new friend overnight, right? You build trust with them slowly through shared experiences and showing up for one another. So the same has to go for your relationship with yourself. You build self-trust by showing up for yourself, by following through on your promises and treating yourself with respect and care. So let me give you a hint. Let me give you the ABCs of building self-trust. Are you ready? Accomplishments build confidence. I'm going to give you those again. Accomplishments build confidence. The more things you accomplish, the more you have confidence in yourself. And the more confidence in yourself you have, the more you can trust yourself. This is how you build your discernment. This is how you build your self-trust. Okay. But here we go. We're going to go even deeper. I'm going to give you three steps to rebuilding your self-trust. You can do them right now. Get your pen and your paper out. Step number one, keep your promises to yourself. If you tell yourself you're going to do something, whether it's waking up early, finishing a task, taking a break, getting your podcast out every Wednesday, do it. Even small promises matter. Each time you follow through, you strengthen that trust. Think about it. How many times would your friend or your loved one or whomever it is get to lie to you? How many times do they get? I want you to put in the comment section right now, Nerd Nation, how many times the other people in your life get to lie to you, deceive you, not show up for you before you actually have a legitimate reason to not trust them. I'll give you a minute. Go ahead and put it in. Now that you've put that number into the chat, I want you to ask yourself, how many promises to yourself have you broken? How many lies have you told yourself? No wonder you don't trust yourself. Some people would say countless. Keep your promises to yourself. Number two, I want you to listen to your intuition. Start paying attention to your gut feelings. That little voice inside you is often guiding you in the right direction. I want you to trust it, even when it's hard, and especially when it goes against external opinions. Okay? And number three, I want you to celebrate your wins, love. Every time you follow through on something, every time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, I want you to celebrate it. Recognize that you're building trust with yourself step by step. Building self-trust takes time and it requires some consistency. But the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. And as your self trust grows, so will your confidence. Now, let's talk about self doubt because there's one thing that can chip away at your self trust, it's self doubt. We've all experienced it. That little voice in the back of your mind whispering, what if I'm not good enough? Or what if people judge me? Self doubt can sneak in at the worst times, making us second guess ourselves and hold back from our opportunities. Remember, I told you that I have imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is a form of self doubt, it is self doubt at its most toxic. Okay. But here's the thing, self doubt is just a thought, it is not a fact. Okay. It's a story that our minds tell us, often rooted in fear. And you know what? I got a card here. Let's look at it. Let's find my fear card. I had it. I'm sorry. Here we are. Fear. Now, I know that what you guys have heard is that fear is an acronym for false evidence appearing real. I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't think that's a true statement because I don't think evidence is false. If there's evidence, that's something tangible. That's something that you can hold. I'm afraid of bears. If there was a bear over there in the corner, that's not false evidence appearing real. That's real fucking evidence. It's a bear, and bears kill people, right? So it's never really sunk into me. So I changed it for me. And I'm going to read you what I wrote. I wrote, it isn't the evidence that's false, it's your false efforts appearing real that have you stuck in place. You want me to read it again, Nerd Nation? It's not the evidence that's false and false evidence appearing real. It's not the evidence that's false. It's your efforts appearing real that have you stuck. Are you taking real efforts? Are you making real strides? Are you promising yourself things and then getting afraid to do it or half-assing it and claiming that you did it? So you Nerd Nation, I'm gonna sit it right here. I'm gonna sit the card right here. Okay. Okay. One of the most powerful things that you can do is recognize fear for what it is. It is just a story. Your self doubt is just a story that you are telling to yourself. The question is, are you going to let that story control you? Fear of judgment is another huge factor. We're wired to want acceptance from others, and that's okay. But if you let the fear of judgment stop you from being yourself or pursuing your dreams, you're going to end up living a life that's not truly yours. The truth is, people are always going to have opinions, but their opinions don't define your worth. You do. Quite honestly, Nerd Nation, other people's opinion about you is not your business. Mind your business. Your business is forming your own opinions about yourself based on who you are, what you like. That's why acknowledgement yourself and forgiveness are so important. So if you didn't do those, go back and look at those episodes. So, how do we overcome self doubt and the fear of judgment? I'm going to give you 4 practical steps to getting over your self doubt and your fear of judgment. Now, this Aquarian here, right here, says just stop giving a damn. But I know that not everybody can do that. So 4 steps, here we go. Challenge negative thoughts. When self-doubt creeps in, I want you to ask yourself, is this thought true? Most of the time, you'll find that it's not. So what I want you to do, I want you to replace that thought with something more empowering, like, I am capable and I've got this. Okay? Number 2, I want you to practice imperfection. I want you to give yourself permission to make mistakes and not be perfect. Self-doubt often comes from trying to get everything exactly right. But the truth is, perfection doesn't exist, but progress does. Number 3, stop comparing yourself to other people. Comparisons is the thief of joy and self-trust. Remember that everyone's journey is different. Focus on your path and celebrate your progress, no matter where you are. You don't know what anybody else had to do in order to get what it is that they have. So don't waste your time comparing what you have to what other people have. Be on your journey. Mind your business. Stay in your lane. And number 4, do it anyway. Do it scared. When fear of judgment starts to hold you back, I want you to take action anyway. The more you step outside of your comfort zone on this part right here, the easier it becomes to trust yourself. Because right now, what you've been trusting is the naysayers. Do it anyway. Do it scared. When you start recognizing self-doubt for what it is, a story that your mind is telling, and you take the steps to quiet that inner critic, you'll find that your confidence grows, because accomplishments build confidence. With the confidence comes the ability to trust yourself fully. Let's talk about setting personal goals with confidence. With this newfound confidence that you have, because your accomplishments have been building it, setting goals is an important part of building self-trust because it gives you direction and it helps you to see your progress. But here's the key. Your goals need to come from a place of self-love, and they need to align with your values, not from a desire to meet someone else's expectation. Your goals need to come from a place of self-love and alignment with your own values, not from a place of trying to please other people. I needed to say that to you face to face, and we needed to get close, Nerd Nation, because y'all act like y'all don't hear me sometimes. When your goals are rooted in what matters the most to you, they become more meaningful. And the more meaningful your goals are, the more motivated you'll be to achieve them. But you have to trust yourself along the way. You don't need to have all the answers or know exactly how things are going to unfold. You just need to take the next step and trust that the path is going to reveal itself to you as you go. Hey, listen, hey, listen, hey, listen. With some of the goals that you all like to set, you don't need to worry about how you're going to accomplish. You need to get the goal out. Set the goal. I'm going to show you how to set the goal with some confidence. I'm going to give you 5 ways to set goals with confidence. And I know that some of you have heard this before. We're going to talk about the SMART goals, baby. Your goals should be smart. You are, right? Let's go. Here's a simple goal setting framework that I love using. It's called making your goals specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. SMART goals. So let's start. Number 1, specific. Make your goals clear and well defined. So instead of saying, I just want to exercise more, that's not a clearly specific, defined goal. You're going to want to say, I want to go for a 30-minute walk 3 times a week. That is specific. Get it? Moving on. Number 2, measurable. Include a way to measure your progress. Ask yourself, how will I know when I've achieved this goal? Number 3, achievable.
Set a goal that's realistic and within reach, given your current circumstances, your current level of motivation. It's okay to challenge yourself, but make sure that the thing you want to do is doable. I.e., if you have never gone on a diet before, then to create a goal of losing 200 pounds and dieting strictly for a week is not specific, it's not measurable, and it's not achievable. But what you can do, like it says, is go for a walk for 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week for the next 90 days. Specific, measurable, achievable. Let's go to number 4, relevant. Your goal should align with your values and your priorities. Make sure it's something that truly matters to you. And then number 5, time bound. Give yourself a deadline or a timeline. For example, I want to complete this goal within the next, I said, 90 days. When you set your goals this way, smart, you not only give yourself clear direction, but you're also building self-trust because you're setting yourself up for success. Remember, it's not about achieving the goal perfectly. It's about showing up for yourself consistently. So, as we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with this. Trust is a gift that you give to yourself. It's about believing that you are capable, that you are enough, that you have everything within you to create the life that you want. Trusting yourself doesn't mean that you'll never make mistakes or that you'll never have doubts again. It just means that you'll know how to handle it when that shit comes your way. Building self-trust takes time and practice because it took a long time for you to stop trusting yourself. But it's one of the most valuable things that you can do for yourself. With self-trust comes confidence. And with confidence, you can overcome your self-doubt. You can let go of your fears and you can step boldly into the life that you were meant to live. I want to thank you so much for joining me on this journey today. And I hope that you found these tips helpful. And I encourage you to start practicing them right away. Trust yourself, trust your process, and trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Now, in our next episode, Yaz is going to be back, and we're going to be diving into the final pillar of the AFTA effect, which is acceptance. Learning how to embrace your imperfections, let go of unrealistic expectations, and foster inner peace. And I'm so excited for that one. I hope that you're going to join me for it. Now, if you've enjoyed today's episode, I want you to subscribe. I want you to rate. I want you to leave a comment. And I absolutely want you to share this podcast with someone who might need a little reminder to trust themselves today. So until next time, Nerd Nation, remember, you are worthy, you are capable, and you are enough.
Thank you for joining us, Nerd Nation, and I'm so sorry for the technical difficulties. But again, if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, comment, like, and share, and we'll see you next week.